Hey everybody, BlizzCon just ended yesterday, and Mauga is available for a few more hours today before he's gone until Season 8, which is next month in December, so I wanted to make a general impressions video of him. This general impressions video of him, though, is going to be specifically focused at his interaction with the support heroes in the game right now. So let's get into it. So general impressions is very standard, not particularly scary to any of the supports until the ult comes into play. Similar to Roadhog, no armor health, no shield health, no barriers, no damage mitigation ability, so every support can get at least some value against Mauga. I don't think any of them are particularly bad against him. Some are definitely better than others, but I don't think any of them are particularly bad against Mauga. He won't invalidate any of them. Similar to Roadhog, very susceptible to discord, anti, sleep, and all that. And the ult, which is the scariest part about him, honestly, can be hit or miss. It's kind of 50-50, sometimes it can be very hard to deal with, other times trivial, kind of depends on if he's doing it by himself and how much health and sustain your team has to deal with it. So first off, let's do Life Weaver. I don't play much, so it's going to be pretty quick. Life Grip seems like one of the few consistent ways to save somebody from the cage. The cage is actually a barrier, which means it blocks most support utility and a lot of the support ultimates. So Grip is one of those few abilities that goes right through the cage. You can save somebody through it. And also Tree of Life. You can place Tree inside the barrier. There's no line of sight restriction. So you can place Tree inside the barrier to save multiple people if multiple people are caught in the cage. And you can use Grip to save one person. As Life Weaver yourself, you're never going to be in danger of getting killed by Mauga, honestly. If you are, it's because you're positioning badly. You should be miles away from him at all times, so you should never be worried about him in that way. And if you have Mauga on your team, you're pretty good at pocketing him, long range, good healing, and also like characters like Reinhardt and Doomfist. If they go in for a silly play, you can grip them out. Next up is Illari and Mercy. So these supports, I'd say, are the supports that interact the least with the tanks in the game, and nothing is new for Mauga here. Both of them don't really interact with Mauga that much. Illari can get easy poke on them if she has nothing else to shoot at. The ult, Illari's ult Sunburst, won't get stopped by any defense matrix or anything. Mauga has nothing like that. So the team is susceptible to Sunburst if you have Mauga on your team. Illari can kind of have a hard time healing a friendly Mauga if they charge in because she doesn't have any long range healing. But if you have a stationary one on your team that's playing around the corner, that's fine. Next up is Mercy. Mercy, if you're in a situation where you're healing your tank a lot as Mercy, you should probably get off Mercy. She doesn't really get much from healing and pocketing Mauga, just like all the other tanks. One good thing about Mercy, though, is that she can actually use Valk to heal people through the barrier that the ult creates. The ult, Illari actually can't heal people through it because the barrier stops her beam. She'd have to throw a pylon into it or just jump into it herself, which is death sentence. Mercy can Valk and heal everybody through it. You aren't guaranteed to save people just because Valk doesn't do that much healing to save people from multiple ults, but it's definitely better than nothing, especially if the Mauga does a solo ult. Next up, Ana Zen. I can lump them together because they're the same exact situation as Roadhog. You're pretty much guaranteed to get value if you play Ana Zen into Mauga. He can't do anything with sleeps, antis, and discord. In fact, he gets smoked by them. Charge is invulnerable to CC, but honestly, after playing with it for a couple of days, it's pretty easy to sleep him still. After the charge is done, he does a little animation where he hops and then does the stun. I believe it seems like during that little animation at the end, he's actually no longer CC invul, so you can sleep him there. Easy to apply discord to him. The only issue when it comes to Ana with him is, of course, the cage. That barrier really puts a damper on your day if you don't have nano boost. Nano goes through barriers, so that's one way to save someone, but obviously you can't anti or do regular shots into the barrier unless you jump in, and if you jump in, that can be a death sentence, especially if their team is coordinated and you guys don't have anything else to sustain through it. You can, however, do a transcendence through it and save people in it. If they don't have anti-nade, asterisk, if they don't have anti-nade, then you can trance through it, save people, it's cool. Nano Mauga is okay, nothing particularly special, honestly. same as any other nano tank. They can do a lot, and they can also do absolutely nothing. So I honestly, if you have a easy to combo with ult, DPS ult on your team, I'd recommend nanoing that person, so the Mauga. But no, Mauga is okay. Next up, Brigida. Like Roadhog, you can get very easy Inspire procs with Whip Shot. I actually think Brig combos pretty well with Mauga, seems like, from the couple days. Inspire plus the lifesteal buff that you get from Mauga gives you a lot of sustain in close range brawls. And also, Brig is one of the only supports that can consistently, seems like, actually jump into the cage and use Rally to try to survive and fight inside the cage. She gets that massive 600, I think, HP barrier, and then she's also gaining that extra HP the entire time, and your allies are getting that extra HP the entire time, plus Inspire. And just to let you know, Inspire gets blocked, I believe, by barriers too. And if you have a friendly Mauga, obviously you can jump in, or not even jump in, you can stay on the edges of the barrier and just whack people inside the cage. Lucio, same as every other tank. Every tank likes speed boost. Mauga's speed boost is obviously great. Mauga can't really punish a Lucio. He can't really punish any of the supports, honestly. But with Lucio, he has no CC ability, so Lucio can feel free to wall ride, within reason. He can still shoot at you, of course. He is hit scan, so he can shoot at you, but he won't, just eviscerate you like some of the other tanks can. Sound barrier is a big 50-50. If they cage your tank, you have to make a decision right then and there. Do you jump into the cage and barrier and try to survive? Because when you're in the barrier, by the way, all of your movement abilities get cancelled, which includes the wall ride. It's like you're being Sombra hacked. So you can't wall ride, so you're just stuck in the cage with your barrier, and the barrier can get melted. Unlike Transcendence, Lucio can still die after your barriers. And it's not even like the barrier is still, it's a guaranteed live. You can get melted even with the barrier. So more often than not, honestly, I've found that I end up dying along with my tank when I go in and try to solo save the tank and just hop into the barrier. If your entire team's in there with you, then doing the barrier can help. But yeah, it seems pretty rough with the barrier. Next up is Kiriko. Mauga can't punish Kiri at all for taking flanks and off angles. Like Roadhog, Mauga likes Kiri to cleanse anti, so when you have one on your team, try to save your cleanse for that. It is a 100% bad idea to jump into the cage and Suzu. Even if you don't use teleport to go into the cage, once again, your movement abilities are cancelled, so you can't actually teleport out. So you will most certainly die. Unlike Lucio or Brig, you have no self-heal. So those heroes, you can kinda sometimes get away with it. With Kiri, I found you will never get away with it. You will definitely die every time. Kiri's ult is okay with when against Mauga and with Mauga. With Mauga, it's pretty standard. Extra firing rate. He likes it, but it's not anything crazy. It's no visor or anything like that. When it comes to the ult, yeah, you can ult inside the cage, but you're still probably gonna die with it. So Kiri, it's okay. It's okay. Batiste is pretty good with and against Mauga, especially because you can throw lamp into the cage. The barriers won't stop the lamp, so you can throw the lamp in to save somebody. One interesting thing about Bap is actually he seems to be the only support that can consistently try to break the barrier. Obviously you'll have a hard time if you do it by yourself, but if you drop the amp matrix, I found that actually you can pretty consistently break the cage, as long as you have someone else shooting through the matrix with you. Especially if you have a Bastion and Batiste shred through that barrier. It's more fun, so what I've found I've been doing is throwing the lamp in to save the person in the cage, then using amp to break the barrier is what's working so far. So that's really good. When you have a Mauga on your team, you can use lamp to save him from getting slept or antied. You can pop him, pretty standard stuff. And lastly, we have Moira. Moira can obviously ult into the cage. Her orbs and her coalescence go through barriers, so that's really good. It's 50-50 as to where you can actually save somebody or not. Coalescence doesn't do that much healing. It does enough to save somebody from you know, a couple people, but if they're doing multiple ults, then you're generally not going to save them, but it's definitely a good option to have. I still wouldn't recommend you jump into the cage because Fate is cancelled, and when it comes to a 1v1 matchup like the other tanks, you're better off pressuring as more pressuring the other DPS or supports. You're not really doing much tickling Mauga. Yeah, except just getting juice from him. So that's all the supports. I'll probably do this again when he officially comes out, and I'll do this again I think for every subsequent hero that pops into the game. Alright, thank you for watching.